It is my pleasure to welcome to the front Kathy Leggett. Kathy is Policy Advisor for Future Ready Iowa, a post she has held since January of 2018. She brought to the job 20 years of experience in statewide leadership, project management, collaboration, and advocacy work. She coordinates leaders from business, education, government, workforce, and the community to align with a vision for an Iowa where every job is filled and every worker is fulfilled. Thank you for being here, Kathy.
Yes, this is mine. And how do I change it? Do I just come up here? Okay. Awesome. There we go. Okay.
That's my beautiful family.
That's right. And I said we're glad that we got a shot at that. So, okay. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Thank you so much for being here. I have some information I'm going to run through quickly, so I like to let you know that I will go fairly quick through this information. A couple things that I want to share first, though, is I know that there are already really great things happening here, and I meant to bring that up here. Even the resource guide that you have at your table, can somebody hold that up, that little yellow, that, yes, yeah. Like, I love that. That is awesome, and everything in one place. So I'm definitely going to take that back and share it. And hopefully today, just as Kylie said, you will be able to walk away with maybe knowing a little bit more about the Future Ready Iowa resources, what's available, how to access them, and then having made a connection with somebody else maybe that you haven't been working with or thought to work with before. So before I go, though, I want to know, it's really helpful to know who's in the room, because again, maybe these are, you can get a new partner, maybe you can connect with the schools. All of that is what this is about. So I want to start actually right here, and if you would just say your name, your organization, and the locate, like where, if it's from Spencer or where else, that would be great, so we can kind of know who's around. So
Tim Schroeder, Tyson Fresh Meats in Storm Lake, Iowa.
Christine Turkles with Midwestern Mechanical out of Sioux Falls and Spencer.
Julie Halkover with Midwestern Mechanical here in Spencer.
Pamela Health, Tyson Foods, Storm Lake, Iowa.
Michael Scott from the State Library of Illinois.
Karen Marjo with IDRS in Spencer.
Chuck Hirschberg from Prairie Lakes AEA.
Carrie Trenquist from Buena Vista Regional Medical Center in Storm Lake.
Bob Becker, Iowa Works, Spencer Center.
Seth McCauley, Community State Bank, Spencer.
He was the only one brave enough to come and say it.
I'm Ben Pullins, Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, 4-H, based in Spencer, cover the western third of the state.
Christy Heisinger, I'm with Northwest Iowa Manufacturers. I'm based out of NCC in Shelton. I'm Teresa Ball. I'm from Iowa Lakes Community College, and I live here on the Spencer campus.
I'm Mary Trent, Northwest Regional Manager for the Governor's STEM Advisory Council, and I'm stationed at Iowa Lakes and Esterville.
I'm April Sturz. I work in Milford at R&D Industries.
Kristen Hansen, Iowa Lakes Electric Cooperative, based out of Esterville.
Michael Schauer from Spencer Hospital.
Paul Daniels, Northwest Bank, Spencer.
Scott Template, Community State Bank, Spencer.
Dan Clark, President Industries in Des Moines.
Good morning, I'm Brian Heibel. I work at North Central Correctional Facility in Rockville City doing reentry and friendships.
Alyssa Peterson, Iowa Lakes Corridor.
Ryan Delzell, Iowa Lakes Corridor.
Brad Jones from Polaris.
Julie Williams, Iowa Lakes Community College, Westerville.
Steve Fick, Spencer Municipal Utilities.
Michael Thiessen, Annexing Construction in Spencer.
Go for it, yeah.
I'm Amanda Batten. I'm Spencer City Manager.
Kevin Brown with Clay County Future Ready Iowa team representing Grand Island Community Outreach here at Spencer.
Roland Matthews, Clay County Supervisor, just representing Clay County government.
Luis Cota from Demco.
I'm Zach Whiting, Iowa Central District 1. I live in Spirit Lake, but also represent Clay County.
I'm Kimberly Sparks. I'm with KNW Electric in Emmitsburg. I'm Paige Duncan, and I'm with Child Care Resource and Referral. I'm a consultant for this 5-county area, Emmett, Dickinson, O'Brien, Osceola, and Clay.
I'm Linda Leggett with Child Care Resource and Referral, and we cover the 23 counties in Northwest Iowa.
Brenda Evans with GPN Armstrong Road, located in Armstrong and Esterville.
Peter Marching with Isenova Technologies here in Spencer.
Nick Brown, Rosenville, Spirit Lake.
Ellie Weimers, principal at Spencer High School.
Will Dial, Director of School Improvement at Spencer Schools.
Anna Formicella, I'm at BBU.
Lori Berglund, Senior Director of Career and Leadership Development at Buena Vista University.
Liz Kluver, I'm an instructor at Buena Vista University.
Nate White, Careers Coordinator, Business Teacher at Spencer High School.
Teresa Triplett, business teacher at Spencer High School.
Spencer High School student, I'm Michelle Cervantes.
Carrie Hampy, Iowa Lakes Community College, Emmitsburg campus.
Matt McWilliams, KICD.
Joanne Fallon, Iowa Lakes Corridor.
Val Bonney, Iowa Works in the Clay County Future Ready Iowa team.
Linda Gray, Iowa Workforce Development, Spencer.
Okay, thank you so much. I know that took a minute or two, but I think it's really great to know who is in the room. And again, hopefully you'll make a connection with somebody that maybe you haven't yet. So we're gonna blast through this. But also, I guess before I go off script a lot, sorry. I just want to say what we want is a discussion today. We do have information to share, but if you have questions, if you have information to share on something, if you have an idea, anything, I want you to just interrupt, raise your hand, and let's do that. That's part of what we want to do here is get talking about these issues. So this slide, some of you have seen it before, but it's important to show because when Future Ready Iowa, before Future Ready Iowa got started, this kind of seemed to be the picture. Is everybody recognized that we have a skilled workforce shortage, that we need to do some things different, but it seemed like everybody stood and said, if the person just in front of me would do their job better or do it different, then all of my problems would be solved. And what we know is that this is a multifaceted, very a challenging situation to change and to solve, and that every one of us has a role to play. Employers, educators, community organizations, government, no matter what, we all have to do some things differently, and we have to work together in ways that we never have before in order to address this workforce shortage and make opportunities available to every Iowan, which is really also what this is about. So to start, Iowa unemployment rate, I don't think there's anybody here who doesn't know that it's very low and has maintained low. It was 2.4 before, now 2.5. So what that says is we have a lot of people in the workforce right now. In August, we had a little over 43,000 people unemployed. And if you looked on our job board, we would have 60,000 jobs. At any given time. So even all of these folks, we don't have enough to fill the jobs that we need. And we know that. So Future Ready Iowa is really working on how do we get every person in the workforce who wants to be in the workforce in Iowa. We need nobody on the sidelines. We need people engaged, and we have to help them do that. We also know, and through the This Is Iowa campaign that the Economic Development Authority is working on, trying to recruit people to Iowa. So there are two efforts working simultaneously, knowing that we need more people, but then also knowing we need to support the people here to make sure that they get the opportunities to get training and education and get engaged in these great jobs and with great employers right here in Iowa that so many people, I think, just don't even know about. So addressing both in the midst of this low unemployment. Also, just to note that Iowa has a very high participation rate. We do have a lot of people in the workforce, and that's a great strength, I think. So we just want to continue to build on that, and maybe there are some things that we need to do differently to do that. Future Ready Iowa has a very big focus on the middle skills job gap. And so I want to make sure we talk about that. This graph shows that in Iowa, 53% of the jobs that we have are considered middle skills. Now, I don't like the term middle skills. It's not middle skilled because they are highly skilled jobs, but this is just the way it gets termed. So just throw that out and say these are the jobs that require beyond a high school diploma up to a 2-year degree or associate's degree. So it could be an apprenticeship, it could be a diploma, it could be a certificate, it could be an 18-month program, it could be a 2-year program. It's that range from you've graduated from high school and now anywhere in between there and getting that associate's degree. So the majority of our jobs, that's what is needed to do those jobs. The 35% are deemed high skilled. Those are the jobs that require a bachelor's degree or above. And the 12% are the jobs in Iowa that require either a high school diploma or no high school diploma. So when we look at that, what we've got is right here. This is where Iowans are by skill level right now, and that's where you can see that we have the middle skills, again, the job gap. 53% of our jobs, but only 33% of our workers who have that education and training that those employers need. So just again, a big priority focus on that training, that education, and those middle skill jobs. And we need to get the folks who are down here in the 29%, we need to get them flipped up. Let's help get them some education and training to meet the needs that we have by employers, because that helps employers and it helps Iowans. So we also have a few other things that we need to address that I just want to mention, and that is educational attainment. We have disparities in Iowa in educational attainment. When you look at, and this is for populations 25 years and older, but when you look at high school data too, we have disparities between graduation rates of between our Hispanic population, our African American population. We aren't graduating the folks in that population at as high of a rate as we are the white population, and we need to address that. So number one is being aware of it, and number two is saying, okay, what do we need to do? Because we need everybody. We need everyone in Iowa to be engaged, educated, trained, and in our workforce. And then unemployment. So that then links to unemployment. We have disparity in unemployment rates too, especially for some of our specific populations. And this again shows you the unemployment rate and by some other races and ethnic backgrounds. So we need to address educational attainment and employment disparities, and not only by race, but also we have Iowans with disabilities. That is our highest population that is unemployed. And so we'll talk about that in a minute. And then we also have, as we'll hear later, our offenders, our ex-offenders coming back into our community. And again, we need to work together to get everybody employed. So the other reason, when I say why Future Ready Iowa, I usually try and say three things in a quick note. Why are we doing Future Ready Iowa? Number one is because we have this huge middle skills job gap that we just talked about. Number two is because when Georgetown University did their study for Iowa, they indicated that by 2025, 68% of our jobs are going to require education and training beyond high school by 2025. So that's another reason. And then this is the other reason. Every year, Iowa Workforce does surveys employers, and continually what employers tell us is 56% in this last year that the applicants they have lack the qualifications that they need. So we need to change that. We need to get those applicants having the qualifications and skills that employers need. And then also, as I just said, general lack of applicants. So that's kind of on the other end, working to get people here. But also, what I will say is working to get people engaged in those great occupations that we have in Iowa. So I think it's a combination of both. So that's why Future Ready Iowa in a nutshell. And so what is the Future Ready Iowa goal? 70% of Iowans have education and training, a certificate or something credential of value by 2025. 70% of Iowans in the workforce. That's the Future Ready Iowa goal. Hopefully you've known it, hopefully you've heard it, and some of this may be a repeat, but what I've learned is that people have to hear things 7 times before they actually get them. And maybe, I don't know, the educators could help me because I just heard that. So you probably know even better than me. So we'll keep saying it and keep sharing this message. So how does that 70% break down? We have 3 target audiences, but what that means is 139,000 Iowans plus, a little bit plus, need to get educated and trained by 2025 for us to meet that goal. And that is in addition to the ones who are already on that pathway. So this isn't just 139. We have it, we can look at what is our baseline. We have this many people getting bachelor's degree, this many people getting associate's degree, this many people in apprenticeship. We need to move that. In addition to those, we need an additional 139. So this is going to take proactive work and collaboration. So we talk about 3 groups, the returning adults. So our focus, 37,000 or more, it could be, of Iowans started an education or training program and didn't complete it. For whatever reason, barriers, something happened, we probably know people, we may be those people who went and started and whatever happened and we didn't complete it. So is there a way that we can work to try and get them back into school in any number of different ways to complete some type of education and training, and if possible, in one of those high demand job occupations that we have, which we'll talk about in a minute. So there's one group. Traditional students is another group. So we have our traditional students coming out of high school, but we need an additional about 45,000 between now and 2025 to get connected to a great occupation and career and to get the education and training that they need, additional to the trajectory that we have now, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. And then 57,000, this is our biggest group, and I would say that this is our biggest challenge. We have adults that have no education and training beyond high school, and we want to keep them in the workforce or get them in the workforce. So as Kylie mentioned earlier, this may be a place for employers to think, who are those folks that I have who've been great employees, they do a great job, they maybe did not have education and training beyond high school. Is there a way that we can help support them getting a certificate to help us fill our high demand jobs? Because these adults, the majority of them are in the workforce already. And they may be in a pretty, decent job, but in the next 5 years with technology, automation, and everything, are they going to still have the skills that you need? So thinking about that proactively. So here we go with our, this is just some information from the AEA prep program about our high school students in Iowa. We have a 91.4% graduation rate, which is the highest in the United States, which is fantastic. So many people working really hard. But we want to also look behind that. And with this data, what it tells us is that 78% of those intended to pursue secondary education leading to a credential or a degree when they graduated. So in the spring when they graduated, 78% kind of said, yes, I'm going to do this, this, or this, some type of post-secondary education. So you can see the number there. So first off, between 34,000 and 26, we have an opportunity. I look at that as an opportunity, but it takes all of us. And I will say this everywhere I go. This is not just the school's responsibility. This is our community responsibility, our responsibility as parents and adults and mentors, our employers getting engaged. We all need to own that we are losing some high school students, and we want them to be connected to something great. And if it can be connected to something great here in Iowa, that's even better, because we want to keep them here. So then when you get to the fall, 66% of those who indicated have actually enrolled in a program within 1 year after graduation. So we are kind of going down from there. And so what this just says, again, to me, is we have an opportunity to engage with these students, let them know the great pathways, and there are a lot of ways to do that. And so where we are now is 57.6. That's where we, yes?
Go back to that slide.
Sure.
So you had intended to actual.
Yeah.
Really, for this purpose, we need to look at the actual then, right? Because it's the 34,000.
It is, yes. For this purpose, yes. Actual, though, is what we have, so we need to get in addition to. So, yeah, and so that's why I see it as an opportunity, because we have thousands of students graduating from Iowa high schools that haven't indicated that they have a path. Does that make sense?
So by Labor Day, school started.
Yes.
22,900.
Yes, correct. And then when you go further out, and I'm going to look at you, because you can correct me. I think further out, or maybe why don't you, like, staying and finishing. I can tell you what I know, but, so, yeah, go ahead.
Right, we lose about, 10 to 20% of those young people every year that intend to go, don't end up showing up, and then they don't go back to second year. And so, ultimately we get to about 30% completion out of that graduating class, so.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, we have room, that's the thing, and this to me is an actionable item. This is something, once we recognize that we maybe need to all work together to connect people a little better, this is something we can change. And this is a great opportunity for employers, and then also connecting Iowa students to a great career and training path. So I really think this is something we can change. So where we are right now is 57.6% of our folks in the workforce have education and training beyond high school, so we want to get to that 70%. You can see how the education and training breaks down there. And we're at 58.1 and 58.4, so really we are hovering around the 58%. And we need to move that dial. And so that's what this is about, is how do we work together to move that in a way that we haven't even thought about before. We have to be innovative. We have to do things faster. When you're an adult Is that 10 minutes? Sorry, I don't have my glasses. Okay, thanks. When you're an adult and you're working and you have a family, it's not easy to go back to school. So are there things that we can work together with our education partners and our employers to make things a little bit easier, a little bit faster, a little, to help bring this up for our adult population as well? This PowerPoint is on our website, so I don't expect you to be able to read this. This indicates the percent of the population with an associate degree or higher by county. And this can be updated again in December. What county are you in? Where are we? Clay County, thank you. I think that says 38.1%. But remember, that's an associate degree or higher. So we have all kinds of places in there for a certificate, for a diploma, for an apprenticeship card and stuff. But this just kind of gives you an indication about across the state, again, that we do have opportunity to make this happen. So I want to go through a few of the strategies that were put forth by the Alliance, but with some specific information. So hopefully you can know these resources and access them. So the first strategy was to support with dollars the ability for people to get education and training in the high demand jobs in Iowa. So, and with our, I know one member, maybe other members of our legislature here, I just want to put out a thank you to the Iowa legislature, House and Senate. The bill to set up the structure was passed 2 years ago, but this spring is when the funding came, and that was unanimously passed by our legislature. And one thing to point out is there is hardly anything that's unanimously passed anymore. And this is something that is being passed by Democrats, Republicans, House, Senate, because we know that this is really important and we have to get this work done. So I want to say thank you, pass that on to anybody in our legislature. But we had 3 programs funded, and so the Last Dollar Scholarship was funded at around $13 million this spring. The Last Dollar Scholarship is to fund education and training up to an associate's degree in a high demand career occupation path. So it's last dollar because it does come in behind Pell and GAP and PACE, some other funding sources, and we'll pay what's left if there's still left. But the other thing that I really love about this is not related to income. So when you have people working, maybe for you as employers, you have people working and they would like to obtain some of this training and education, but maybe they make too much to get any financial assistance from the state or federal government. If they're going back in a high demand career, they can have their tuition and mandatory fees paid by the Last Dollar Scholarship. And because a lot of times, I think you can relate, maybe we have some people who are in a decent income range, but they don't have a couple $1,000s or more sitting around to go back to school. So this allows that to happen, and so we get upskilling. So it's a really awesome opportunity. There's also, I think I have more slides on that, so I'm going to run quick. The grant program is for those who have more than 2 years or more of a bachelor's degree, and it's to help encourage them to go back and get a bachelor's degree in a high demand occupation. And the Innovation Fund we're going to spend some time on too. So let me go. Okay, so here's Last Dollar Scholarship, a little more information for you. High school students coming out of high school can apply for a Last Dollar Scholarship. They have to go full time, but again, mandatory fees and tuition paid for in a high demand career. So here, okay, and in your packet, I believe you have this list because you're not going to be able to read it here. But this should be, these are the high demand occupations that were determined by the State Workforce Board. We also have a list on our website for the community college 5 high demand occupations that were chosen to, and there is somebody from the community college here, right? Do you know those offhand, those 5 occupations from this area community college? I don't mean to put anybody on the spot. I just thought if you knew, you could share. Okay, yeah, they're on our website, and if you need to find them, because that's an additional 5 occupations in addition to this list. So when you have this list, though, then you have to articulate it to what programs are at the community college. So on the Future Ready Iowa website, you can find your community college, and you will see a list of all the programs that they offer that the Last Dollar Scholarship will pay for. So the resources there, and please just reach out if you have any questions. The grant program, which I mentioned a little bit right now, is the stipend. They get a stipend to help cover tuition, which is $3,500 a year. Is that one? 5. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to have to go really fast now. So the $1 million was appropriated. That's the grant program. The oops. Sorry. And then the other, you have to make sure that you be careful, because grant program, those are the occupations for the grant program. The other side is the last dollar scholarship. So you don't want to mix those up. Employer Innovation Fund, you have a handout that is specifically about that. If you look on the back of that handout, that's Employer Innovation Fund, it will give you an example of the 13 applications that we funded already. We had one round, we got 17 applicants. It's a matching program, so it matches employer dollars or private funds to support education and training, internships, to reduce barriers. We're really focused on what are the barriers for people to be able to get this, and then can you use this money to help address those barriers so people can get education and training. So on the back of that one, it shows you the programs that were funded. For the ones that weren't funded, we went back to them and said, here's why you didn't get funded, and hope that they will apply again. We have a current application open right now. So, and the deadline is November 8th. So there is still time to get an application in, and I am encouraging you to think about that strongly and partner with somebody, or as an employer, think about what are your barriers, or as an employer, if you're trying to get some folks trained in high demand career and you're putting tuition dollars in, you can get that matched. If you're putting those in, you can make an application and you can get that matched so you can support even more. Or you can put something in to support childcare. We had one that's supporting childcare, why women go through a welding program. They're paying for the childcare, why they do that. You can't pay for the childcare while they're at work, but specifically as a barrier, because that's a barrier for people. I have to pay somebody to go back to school. So not only do I have to pay to go, I have to pay somebody to go. So that's one of our applications. We had, we funded for Nubo Company in Cedar Rapids. They fund 10 scholarships for people to go through their 25-week program. They specifically focus on underrepresented populations. It paid for their tuition, their books, their computer, and then they come out 20 weeks later and are employed at a $60,000 job, and they have a 100% placement rate, and none of those people have left the state of Iowa. So you'll see some examples. There's transportation there. There's other services. So please think about it. Another example is we were at a summit in Southeast Iowa, and the high school CTE teacher said, I only have $4,000 for equipment to train, and every year we build a house. I'm trying to make opportunities for our students to get hands-on in the construction trade or any of those trades related to it, but he said $4,000 does not go very far. An employer stood up and said, you know what, I can support you doing that at $10,000, then make an application, and they've got $20,000 to get the right equipment and things like that for those kids to get trained in that field, at least get their hands ready in that field. Internships for high school students, apply. So, and I'm willing to get help in any way I can, so reach out to me. And I know I spent a lot of time on that, but I really want people to apply for this because we want to give this money away. The legislature appropriated $1.2 million. We have a little over 800,000, so we have an application open till November 8th, and then if we have money left, we'll kind of do a lightning round in December, because we want to make these opportunities available. So don't get intimidated by the application. Call me. I'm happy to help you do this, because this is an awesome opportunity. This is unique to Iowa, and we need to use it. Okay, so we're going to hear about work-based learning, which is really awesome. The goal for Future Ready Iowa is that every student has access to work-based learning, because that puts the real world in connection with what they're learning and gives them an opportunity to see what all these things, now I might 1 minute. You have resources right here. You have somebody from the STEM Council, you have intermediary from your community college, you have all kinds of resources, so we just need to connect and you can get some help. The work-based learning clearinghouse, I also want to mention you have a handout on that. That is a virtual place where you can post a project and get connected with students. Right now we have 14 registered apprenticeships in high schools right now. This is something I really want to see go to. Let's get as many registered apprenticeships in high schools as possible, because these are a great path for our students. And we have some pre-apprenticeships happening too. So there's help for all of this. You don't have to do this yourself. We are here to help, and just reach out. And then the clearinghouse, like I said, is going to be, you have a handout on it, and Jake, you can access him. He will help you. And then here we are is working with our business community at a grassroots level, because as you guys are already doing, we have to do this as a grassroots level. But we will share, there are lots of other great opportunities, and I'm cut off. I have to set a good example, so. So anyway, some great stuff. So get and you'll hear about apprenticeships. Dang, I gotta be faster. Again, disabled Iowans, reentry, we wanna get these people employed. Da-da. Okay, thank you very much.